Hey, everybody, it's Brian Burns, the host of the Brutal Truth About Sales and Selling podcast, available on iTunes and Stitcher Radio, or pretty much any podcast catcher. One of the questions I get all the time is about the Challenger sale book. And isn't the Challenger the right approach, the best approach, the most scientifically proven approach ever to happen into sales? And when I remember this book first came out, everyone kind of pointed to it that, hey, Brian, you're on the wrong track. You don't get it. Here's science. Science has proven what is the best approach to selling. And I go, okay. So I immediately bought the book and started reading it, read it again, and I kept looking for what is this? This makes no sense to me. This is a skill. I get it. I get the skill. Skill's not new. I've been doing a lot of it. I've seen other people do a lot of it. It works in certain situations, fails in a lot of situations. But then you start digging into the book, and let's look at it from all the little pieces. Okay, you have two authors. Okay, go on LinkedIn and look at their backgrounds. Neither one has ever sold. They're not salespeople. They work for this Oh, no, it's not a research company. It's a training and consulting company. But wait a second. They don't train and consult. Oh, they do. They do now train and consult on sales with people who have never sold. I don't know. So this is like kind of like buying a cookbook from two people who have never cooked. But they work for a cooking company, a cooking consulting company, a restaurant consulting company. Okay, fine. So is there research in suspect? Yeah, I think it should be suspect a little bit. This is kind of like the cigarette companies doing research on cigarettes to see if it causes cancer or not. No. Deep breathing is actually healthy for you. So cigarettes are actually healthy. So let's say taking control of the customer conversation. Yeah, that's good. All good there. Oh, wait a second. Who's this guy? Neil Rackham, author of Spin Selling. And he says the most important advance in selling for many years, maybe since Spin Selling. And why would he do that? Oh, wait a second. He doesn't work for Huthwaite anymore. He sold it, I think, 10 years ago. And Huthwaite, the Spin Selling company, has been sold to Miller Hyman, the strategic selling people. Okay, so they competed for years about, is it strategic or is it tactical and question based? Oh, let's just merge. Let's quit fighting. Let's just merge. Okay, so two, diametrically opposed approaches now merge and say, oh, together we're the best. Okay, so let's take a look at this book. Now, I don't want to poo-poo it because there is some good stuff, but here's where I really disagree. They break it down into 5 profiles. Now, let's first talk about the research. They didn't publish it. Okay, so this is not scientific research. It's not independent research. It was done by people who are benefiting from the research. The people who sell Challenger sales training are the people telling you that the research proves that Challenger sales is the most effective way. But yet, let's not publish the research. Just trust us. Trust us that this is true. This is really reliable. Okay, so they break it down into 5 categories. Now, these are somewhat useful until you start comparing them. And let's go through it in a little bit of detail. Hard worker. We all know these people. And this is reasonable. Usually we start off as hard workers in sales because we don't know how sales really works, so we work really hard. Always goes the extra mile. Nothing wrong there. Like that. Doesn't give up easily. Well, most salespeople don't. Self-motivated. Got to do that. Now let's think of the opposite. With the opposite approach, doesn't go the extra mile, gives up real easily, is externally motivated. Now, okay, this is all goodness. These are characteristics, and they're all good. You can't say that they're bad. Interested in feedback and development, not interested in feedback and development. That would never work. Now, here they describe the Challenger. This is the best salespeople in the world. Always has a different view of the world. Well, that's always good to have. Maybe. Understands the customer's business. That's always good, as opposed to not understanding the customer's business. But to what level? Let's face it, unless you have one or 3 customers, how deeply can you really understand their business as a whole? How about if you have 100 customers? How about if you cover a third of the country? How about if you cover a whole industry? Say you cover all of telecom or 5 accounts in telecom. You can understand at a high level their business. But, this idea that you understand their business better than them, I think that's a little bravado there. Okay, understands customers' business, loves to debate. Debating is good unless the other person doesn't want to debate. That's called an argument. Okay, debating is good, arguing is bad. Pushes the customer. Oh, everybody loves a pushy customer, a pushy salesperson, don't they? Yeah, you want to nudge and guide the client. You don't want to push them. So I'm not sure how you get that out of a survey. But again, they didn't tell us how they did the research. Was it in field? Did they follow deals from start to finish? Did they interview managers or salespeople? Because I've never heard of the Challenger until I read this book. I've heard of some characteristics, people who can go in and bring new ideas as opposed to bringing old ideas or focusing exclusively on the product or just doing 20 questions with the spin approach. But then they really poo-poo this guy over here, the relationship builder. Now, they kind of position this person as kind of the account man, builds strong customer advocates. Is that wrong? No, builds weak customer advocates. Generous and giving time to help others. Well, I've never met that many salespeople who do that. They give their time for money, for commission, but very rarely for free. Gets along with everyone. Well, very few salespeople get along with everybody. They get along with people who give them orders. So they kind of poo-pooed the relationship, which is really they're going after their competition, which is the solution selling group. So they're trying to differentiate themselves. Again, justifying with research that's unpublished and unscientific and poo-pooing their competition. So, of course, the competition's got to come up with their own research that says just the opposite. And then they come down here with the lone wolf. This is really, in most cases, I've seen these people be the most successful salespeople, follow their own instincts as opposed to what? Following someone else's instincts. Self-assured as opposed to what? Externally assured, independent, or no, they're dependent on their manager. That's usually an early stage salesperson. Now, the lone wolf, how do you know that they're not doing this, hardworking, also challenging, and also building great relationships? We don't know because they're lone wolves, and they probably didn't fill out the survey. I think this is a total guess. I think they pulled this right out of their butt. Problem solver. So this is the combination. Problem solver and relationship builder is the solution seller, apparently. Reliably responds as opposed to unreliably responds. Ensures that all problems are solved. Ensures what? Only certain problems are solved. Detail-oriented. I'm not sure how many salespeople are detail-oriented. Oh, and now they come up with exactly the results. They brought it down to, of course, these are all, odd numbers here. Isn't that interesting? Liars figure and figures lie. So here, all of a sudden, their model of selling is the most effective. And the least effective is their competition's. Go figure. What was the likelihood of that happening? And the mystery people are the second best. Hard worker, problem solver. I don't know. What is your experience in sales? First of all, I find these categories childish and overly simplified. Why don't we have A, B, and C like we did in school? We all knew what an A player, a B player, and a C player was. And my approach has been really to think outside the box and to understand the wholesale, not just the single sales call. In the complex sale, we've got to deal with multiple sales calls, multiple people, long sales cycle. This doesn't fit complex sale at all. This fits the simple sale. Have people look different. So let's look at, now they directly go against their competition, the relationship builder. Because I think everyone thought relationship builder is what people are great at. The great salespeople are relationship people. Well, let's face it. Try and sell something without some kind of relationship. Try and be in a debater coming in, telling everybody they're wrong, telling them that they got to do it their way, and see how well that works for you. Yeah, they're going to change. Let's see how this works. Offers unique perspective. That's good. Two-way communication. One-way communication. So teaches, you don't want to teach. I'll tell you right now. You want to persuade. You want to teach, go make $30K a year and get your summers off. We're not teachers. We're persuaders. Tailors, well, this is obvious. You don't want to go in and give the standard slide deck each time. I don't think that's very unique at all. Knows customers' value drivers. Well, yeah, you like to know that. You'll know it from a company standpoint, but will you know it from an individual standpoint? Won't that be more based off of the relationship you have with them? Because they're not going to tell you unless there is some kind of relationship, some kind of give and take. Comfortable discussing money. Well, that's at the end of the sales cycle. You should not be discussing money in the middle or the beginning of the sales cycle. It should be very opaque and dependent on how well things go. Asserts control. You really want to be controlling over somebody? Try and control your customer sometime. Let me know how that works. You want to guide people. You want to help people. You want to point them in the right direction. You want to understand that you know how to sell, but they do not know how to buy. Can pressure the customer. Well, you go ahead and try and pressure the customer. You want to incentivize the customer to go in your direction. Okay. Then they poo-poo the relationship builder and reduces customer tension. Well, you kind of want, tension is important if they're even keeled, if they don't see a reason to move. If you're talking with them and they're comfortable, you want to build some constructive tension. But if they want to move, if they see value in your product category, maybe not in your product, but in your category, you want to make it as smooth as possible to get it done. So here we go, talking about exactly high complexity. As the sale becomes more complex, you need the challenger. Challenging people in the first sales call can be very powerful. It can build interest. But let's talk about how do you compete against the challengers out there. Because a lot of people have read the book. It's probably the most popular sales book on the complex sale right now. So it's no longer a competitive differentiator. Everyone's doing it. So how do you compete against them? And everyone's going in and redefining what makes sense to change. So all you have to do is equal on that first sales call. You don't have to beat them on that first sales call. I'm going to show you how to beat them because they're going to go in and have this wonderful, great meeting and they think they're going to have a deal, but they don't. They have interest. They don't have a deal. So let's not be the survey monkeys and sit and think, this is exactly the right approach and I don't have to do anything else. These people are selling sales training. They're not convincing people about what really works. How would they know? How would two people who have never sold be able to come up with a eureka solution to something that you and I have been doing for 5, 10, 20 years? They may have a good idea about what happens and what works in a first sales call, about how to engage people, how to bring something new to the meeting, how to get people to think differently. That is all good. And it works in cases where people are comfortable, where they don't see a reason for change, where they're happy with the status quo, where there is no decision. This opens their mind up. And this is a good skill. This is what I like about the book. This is what I like about the idea. It gets people thinking differently. This is powerful. And when you compete against this, all you have to do is redefine the rules about why you would change, why it's in your best interest. And you can do the same thing as they do, but focusing on your strengths. But what happens after this first sales call? This is what the book doesn't cover. Everyone runs out of that meeting. They may be happy, they may be content, and then they go to the next meeting. And guess what? They forget about everything you said in that meeting. So if you're competing against the challenger, all you have to do is get the next meeting set. Understand that that first meeting in the complex sale is not enough to get a decision. It's enough to build interest. What you have to do is guide them through the decision-making process, which involves vetting the product, integrating the product into their world, doing a proof of concept, getting social proof with references and customer visits, and understanding that the product will deliver or the service will deliver on the expectation that you have set. You have to understand that there's two parts of this sale. There's the technical, the user part of the sale, the functionality of what you're selling. And the second part is the economic part of it. Does it make sense economically? And can it be justified economically? And can the money be moved around that organization and allocated from their bank account to your company's bank account? This is what the Challenger sale doesn't approach. And this is what really matters in the sales. That first sales call, it's great. It's a start. It's the first date, but it is not the relationship. You've got to put all the pieces together of the sale. This is how you crush the Challenger. This is what I call mavericks, people who understand the whole game, the people who don't focus on the one-trick pony, the one silver bullet that's going to get people fired up and interested. I'm talking about the whole sale, winning the whole game, not just having one skill, because you have to put together all the pieces for your client, or you can hope that they can do it themselves. And guess what? They don't, because it's so much easier not to change than it is to change. No company puts employees through a training program on how to change the company and how to buy products and how to disrupt how they do business. It's up to us as salespeople to guide them through that process. And guess what? Eventually you meet this guy, the person who holds the purse strings, the person who's like, what? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing it now? Why are we doing it with you? If you don't have all of that prepared, this guy or girl will upset you, will say, why am I wasting my time and my money with you? And no amount of challenging at this point is going to change it. You have to put all the pieces together and guide your client through that process. This is how you beat the Challenger. The Challenger will get a great first meeting, and they will walk out thinking they've got a deal. They will send a proposal in, and they will follow up incessantly, and they will lose the deal. They will lose the deal to a better salesperson, someone who understands the whole game, and that's what it's all about. If you want to learn more about this, check out the other videos. Listen to my podcast, The Brutal Truth About Sales and Selling. I've sold for 25 years. I wrote a book too, and I've done research, but I did it in the field, on deals, from start to finish. I didn't send out a goddamn survey and then create a bunch of bullshit research and graphs trying to convince a bunch of brain-dead middle managers about what really works. I've seen what really works, and I've either profited from it or I've become poor against it, because I hate losing in sales, because you either win or you lose. This is how to beat the Challenger. So learn all you can about the whole game. Take from the Challenger that a great skill of how to upset people, how to bring in insight. What the fuck is that? That's a brand new idea. That's all it is. That's it. Be able to present it in a unique, powerful way. Check out the podcast. I think